Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the StarCraft 2 ESL Pro Tour. We are here for the July 13th Europe Weekly. I'm your host, Nathanias, and in the top right, we've got the Blue Protoss player, an incredibly handsome gentleman known by the name of Showtime. And his opponent in the southwest position, the red Terran player, he is Mouse Sports' Heromarine. Pretty fantastic Terran player, very popular, a large Gabriel Guten Gaben, the big Gabe, the big one. Rumor has it he may or may not be a top draft prospect for Nathanias's War Chest Team League team, although no spoilerinos, of course. You're all going to have to tune into the draft. I believe it is this week, as we've all been doing our preparations and whatnot for that. I hope you guys are excited about that. I'm actually getting really pumped. I was having a conversation with Maynard about strategy, mostly because I trust him, and that's exactly why he will hopefully take what I said too seriously and overcompensate for when he tries to, metagame me. Sorry, Lee. I love you, but war is war. And if I have to do some ripping and tearing of my own, I will. So, Protoss versus Terran, just in case you've been living under a rock, it completely changed. Everybody goes Cybernetics Core before Nexus now because you are so safe against everything and you have so much potential to deal crazy amounts of damage. So here in Marine Scouts, he knows. He's got a good idea of what's going on. He's got his factory being built at home. So now we did actually have the Reaper expand used here for Big Gabe. And I do like to see this sometimes. It's kind of hard to get the scout because so many TOS players do this wall. And then their adept is out so fast that it's really difficult to actually get the scout without suiciding the Reaper. And even then, sometimes suiciding the Reaper is not enough and it just never makes it. What I do find intriguing, though, that Stalker, but the adept right behind it, right in front of it, excuse me, we have the command center. I do think is going to finish without a problem, but it's risky, man, to not build a bunker versus Protoss. Like, a lot of things can go wrong. He does have the starport on the way, or excuse me, it's the second barracks. So he's going to build Hellions and then go, what is this? What is this build? Is this double Marauder? Or is he just going to build 2 Hellions and then swap? Is that reactor going to get moved to the other barracks and then he builds a starport, I guess? It gives him a pretty seamless transition forward. The Adept can be really, really annoying, though. It is outranged by both the Marine and the Reaper, but the SCVs, he's like, all right, you know what? I could probably kill 1 or 2 and then shade away. It does not manage to shade away, but then the Stalker is here. However, without the Adept support, 2 Hellions and a Reaper can beat a Stalker pretty easily. This is definitely an awkward spot for Showtime. Maybe he wants to... I don't think he's going to recall, but he's going to do some work on these Hellions. You got to make... The Hellion actually has like a pretty high damage point, which means it takes a while for Hellions to actually be able to shoot, even when they start the attack animation. Like, there's like a pre-attack animation where the Hellion, when it's driving... Fun fact, everybody. When a Hellion is driving... The flamethrower is always down and pointed straight ahead of it. There's almost no scenario where the Hellion is shooting literally directly in front of it where that doesn't have to move. So, whenever the Hellion attacks, that turret has to track the enemy unit and then it will shoot. So, Hellions actually, they have that weird built-in delay to the way that they shoot. He does get the probe that built the wall, tries to boop the Stalkers. And did end up building a starport on that reactor and then just building a reactor with the second barracks that he added earlier. I don't hate this at all. That's a pretty cute build. He's going to have really fast stim bio, and it's going to line up around that same time that Blink usually finishes. So this is actually a pretty comfortable spot to be in for Gabe. Showtime, though, he got his third base at one of the best, most like normal standard timings that you could. And that means for the Terran player, you do need to put on some pressure. You need to get some damage done. He's going to send a medevac out with some mines in it at the same time. He's moving out what little bio he does have to get ready to go make that next move. Now, one stalker is watching the north end of the map. Oh, I'm surprised he didn't put the 2 Hellions in the medevac. He runs into these guys, but Blink is ready. So, oh, okay. The other stalker blinked too. I didn't even realize that. Picks off a Marine. And if he thinks that if he can bait another stim, yeah, and then he just wants to run away. These Hellions are here. And I'm like, he kind of wants to force a fight maybe and then run the Hellions into the third base while the medevac hits the main. Like, that could actually be devastating. This attack could do a lot of damage. This is a big opportunity for Big Gabe. Here's the medevac boosting over to the main. Right? These stalkers blink forward for the bio and the medevac. He's just going to stand and fight. Mines are going to burrow. Hellions go into target fire the probes, but that does mean the Widow... Oh, no! Nah, that deserves it. That was a big Widow mine shot he just got there onto the probes of Showtime. He managed to save both mines after getting the 8 kills. Did he trade a good amount of his economy to do so? Yes. However... even though the workers are spread, he's got that really good saturation going. A decent attack. Gabe finds himself with a little bit of a supply block. You gotta be careful. And now the third command center is done. So we do have a Warp Prism coming in, and Charge is on the way, which says to me that Showtime really wants to try and use his heavy gateway presence on the map to apply even more pressure and deal even more damage, if possible. So this is one of those awkward situations where before you get set up, you know, you can kind of get caught off guard. The Hallucinated Phoenix went through and saw everything. There's not a tremendous amount of support type units. You just have a handful of tanks, and because of the medevacs that were lost already in this game, a handful of medevacs. You don't have as much as you'd like. Like, he killed 10 probes, but at the cost of so much more, so much else. So let's see if it's going to end up becoming a problem for him, because these stalkers are waiting at the tower. They want to do some poking and prodding, but the Prism is about to be dropping some charge lots with +1 armor in the main base. He's forcing out some stims here. He says, yeah, come get the stalkers. Come get the stalkers. Come get the stalkers, Heromarine. Guten Gaben. That's German for Guten Gabe. And he warps in another wave of zealots inside the base. So Heromarine is going to have to fight with his Marines behind these SCVs. Now, we know that zealots can really chew through those workers, but it's not like he doesn't have any upgrades of his own. The +1 attack does help him get through. He loses 10 SCVs, but does he have enough to actually stop the counterattack from Heromarine? We do not have Psystorm available. We've just got an Archon with a couple of Immortals, and the rest is Gateway. I don't know that that's going to be enough to stop him. Gets the Supercharge. He gets the Supercharge onto the shield battery, but he could just try to kill the battery. He brought SCVs too. I didn't even notice that. Oh my God, he really is committed to this. Why even build a third command center? I guess so that his opponent would think that he wasn't going to do this. That's fair. That's a fair and reasonable expectation to have. And here he comes once again onto this base. Now the tanks have sieged on, but the War Prism's going to drop some zealots onto the back line behind the siege tanks. However, like I said, it may still not matter. There are just so many Marines and Marauders with this army. The medevac count keeping him very healthy, and GG is called. Heromarine takes game number 1. Well done. Well done. We'll jump into the next game as soon as we can. I think this might be a semifinal. Let me check the bracket. You can tell Nathan's a Terran player because he always hovers over the Terran base when nothing is happening. Yeah, I can give better analysis of it. I'm not going to pretend that I don't play one of the races in this game. I'm not going to pretend. Pillars of Gold is the map for game number 2. Yes, this is the semifinal. Okay, so it's actually a best of 5. I didn't clarify that. I did not clarify that at all, but it is actually a best of 5. It's not a best of 3. All right, we're loading into game number 2. Welcome back. We're on Pillars of Gold, Ladder Edition. That distinction isn't really necessary, but it does help sometimes. In the top right, we've got Showtime. In the bottom left, we've got Heromarine. Wow, Nathan, one of those intros was way more enthusiastic. Is it because you're biased? No. No, it's because I was taking a deep breath while I said Showtime's name. But I could give you a good big Showtime. I could do that. I could bring something like that over. Somebody in chat asks, why do we call him Big Gabe? Well, you see, somebody made it as a joke once, and nobody really knew what it meant. What does it mean to just call somebody large, right? Is it a joke about them being short? Is it a commentary on something else? I don't really know. But if I'm honest with you, I don't think it matters. It's a meme. People enjoy it. It seems to bring more joy into the world than pain. And if that's the case, then I'm not going to complain too much. I'm pretty happy with that. I wouldn't whine about something that people come together over that's positive, right? Plus, at least we know that in a Pacific Rim situation, even though we don't have giant robo-mechs, we could have Gabe go fight those monsters in the ocean. So, those of you who think it's funny, you wouldn't say to Big Gabe's face, all right? He eats at the finest restaurants, hangs out with the hottest dudes, and wears the chillest threads. That's just the way it is. Cybercore is ready. Adept boots up. Chronos it out before starting Warp Gate, and then that upgrade does begin. Command Center not too far behind the Nexus. This metagame is very weird because it gives the Protoss a lot more strength, but it actually does take a little bit away from having that Nexus even just a couple seconds earlier to start gathering the energy and chrono boosting, which is nice. I'm getting a report right now, actually. Someone is telling me that they've just received reports from NASA that the Hubble Space Station picked up a Gabe-class celestial object measuring at possibly 1.001 Gabes. Is it possible that we have found a larger Gabe? And I'm going to tell you the answer to that is no. I believe that Gabe was attempting to pull off a truffle shuffle in light of his favorite movie, The Goonies. And in doing so, he took in so much air that he expanded to 1.001 of his own size. You know what I mean? So, like a normal human could breathe in, and you'd gain maybe a gallon of air in your lungs or something. I don't know. I don't know what your lung capacity is. Big Gabe could actually inhale so much air that it's like one of those big blow-up thingies, right? And you're like, well, that air actually does weigh a lot. And that's it. That's how Gabe can be bigger. It's also possible that he just decided to eat 7 cheeseburgers the other day. Although, I think he has too much self-discipline for that. That's a little bit more in my department. He's going to build the Hellions behind this again, by the way. These guys are doing like a very, very, very limp poke. Meanwhile, the Proxy Oracle shows up, and that's just not fun. A couple SCVs already dying. And the units are not really here to help. The problem with doing a build like this, the Hellions are cool, sure. And this Medevac's cool. But he ain't got anything to deal with this. There's no Widowmine. The 3 Marines are on the other side of the map. He finds himself with nary a unit to defend his base with. And that certainly does not make things any easier than they had to be prior. So, the Hellion drop is going to need to do a lot of damage now. He's at 25 SCVs to 42 probes. Let's see it. Let's see what he's got. He needs to kill like the whole mineral line, honestly. I'm not even joking. He'd need to kill like 16 probes to make this even again. Oh, that's rough. This Oracle comes out too, and he's like, I mean, I could tag you, bro. I could tag you. And he's going to build a Phoenix out of here too. That's tough, man. That is actually a very frustrating situation to be in for Heromarine. So I actually do like the start here for Showtime. Gabe is going to need to make whatever his big push is. Probably game winning though. I honestly don't know. Like he's really going to need like a massive assault to bring this one into a good place. Just the worker difference alone. Like he is so far behind income wise if we pull the income tab up. Double the gas income for Showtime, and he's getting about 20 to 30% more mineral income. It's a big deal. Big Gabe gets all the gig babes. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Is that an appropriate comment for you to make? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. The Viking almost gets the kill here onto the Oracle. However, we don't really have power units out just yet. An Immortal's about to pop. I don't really see the Oracles as being game enders here, but the Immortal's a good power unit. Then the big power unit is, of course, Showtime's Disruptor that he is headed towards. He's bringing in that medevac 2 tanks. So it is possible that he can try and get a good siege position here, but it's only going to be... I don't know, man. The ability to extend here with only 2 tanks is quite limited still. He needs to get rid of the Immortal. Okay, he gets the Immortal shields proc. He's going to land the Vikings. I actually do like that a lot. He needs to be careful. The Disruptor's coming. Okay, he just gets 2 SCVs that were there for repairing. Nathan screams very loudly because that's what I do. Don't ask her about it. Tank shots, not going to do too much with that battery overcharge. Now the battery overcharge is done. And he's actually rallied more Vikings here. I really like that. Vikings are amazing versus Immortals and Stalkers. Like, they die really fast, but they also kill really fast. And the Immortals barrier, is it up again? I think it is. Yeah, Heromarine just taps out. He just taps out. GG. All right, we're going to game number 3. Yes, the Gabe superposition effect. That's true. Well, you know what they say. At some point, if you get close enough to Gabe to really observe his bigness, like, you know, in too close of a range, basically, you actually can get pulled into orbit. And that's actually the best case scenario, if I'm being honest with you, because past that, well, you just get sucked in, right? And that's the other problem. Like, his pores would just eat you and you'd become like a pimple. And then Gabe would pop you and you'd die. So you have to be really careful about that. You have to be really, really careful about that. All right. We're loading into game number 3. We actually don't know whether the mass density of Gabe fluctuates with the volume of space that he occupies at any given time. Okay, you're losing me again. We're going in too deep here. We're going in too deep. All I'm saying is observe Gabe's his beauty, his presence from a safe distance. That's all. And for the guy in the chat that seems so angry at this discussion, anybody can be a scientist. In fact, all you have to do is question the world around you, and you are acting out science as it is, you know? Every cool thing that we've ever had or seen in this whole entire world started with somebody being like, I could probably do that. Or they just kind of discovered it on accident. Rarely happens to close-minded people that never go outside their comfort zone, though. Surprising surprise. Death Aura, though. This is the map with the really small main area. You, like, can't really build a third command center in your main very safely. It kind of has to be, like, over here or maybe here. This is, like, a kind of safe-ish spot. But if they blink up, you're like in trouble. You're kind of in trouble. Nate, did you think that last game was over? Honestly, yeah. He was pretty dead. Like, you have to understand that at the moment, Terran versus Protoss is a balanced matchup, right? What does that mean? What does balanced really mean? Well, the way that I'm going to describe it in this particular scenario to you is that there are a number of parameters and circumstances that allow a somewhat equivalent amount of opportunity for either player to be able to get an advantage that could lead to winning a game over the other player. So for Terran versus Protoss, a lot of the balance is about the Terran player kind of needs to be really greedy, or the Terran player needs to be really aggressive. It's balanced around Protoss having more workers by Terran than default. Like, the Protoss will pretty much always have more workers than the Terran. The Nexus builds faster. The Nexus, obviously get to build workers faster. So you're always going to be behind on workers. Terran players win when they can cull that probe count, and Terran players lose when they fail to cull that probe count. So it's really not that big of a surprise that if the Protoss is able to deal damage to the Terran while also defending themselves, which is in and of itself an incredibly risky play, because many Terran players leave a random Widow mine here or a mine tucked there, and you don't actually get to send an Oracle in and kill 7 or so SCVs, however many died at the beginning of the last game. And that obviously leads to other issues in terms of your ability to actually put up your army and defend against everything. So I do think he was probably past the point of no return. If you have 25 SCVs and you brought some to repair in the fight, and your opponent has 50 workers and a third base, you're probably dead. Like, there's just, like, if that was the final game of the best of 5, he might have hung in there. But do I think he had any chance of winning? Maybe like 20%. Seriously, you would have needed like the disruptor to blow up his own army on accident or something weird like that. But Gabe has been going for Hellions every game too, which I do also find intriguing. This is not something that you really see a lot of. This isn't something that is, well, I shouldn't say you don't see a lot of it. It's really like people generally prefer the mine drop in this matchup because of the explosive power of the mine. This Adept, though, that's unfortunate. The thing about the Adept is you actually, while it dies, let it hit the Hellions a few times, because Adepts are actually really strong versus Hellions. And now he's got a red one, a yellow one, and a green one. So these Hellions are all pretty banged up. It's going to take way less hits for these Stalkers to kill them. The Stalkers don't even do as much damage as the Adepts do against the Hellions. So as Blink finishes up, he's going to have a pretty easy time pushing this away since these Hellions are already dead. We do have the Raven being built as the backup. He's thinking about the possibility of getting hit by something like Dark Templar or anything, really. Ravens are good against everything. He's going to get a tank. I mean, tank Raven. And keep it secret, keep it safe. You're good. You're good. Elucidated Phoenix flies over the Marines, gets destroyed. And at this point, with the positioning of these Stalkers and the fact that Blink is done, pretty much just means that all Heromarine can do with these Hellions is nothing. I'd like to see him send the medevac home. I mean, I guess he's hoping that he'll be able to hit a big jackpot win later, but he's very visibly seen. And a third command center instead of a missile turret. Interesting choice. He's got really good vision of everything. I like that he moves it forward a little bit too. He's like, yeah, I can move this down a little bit. But Gabe's just going to make his way back into bio. That's actually pretty passive opening. It mostly just has to do with the fact that he couldn't actually get the Hellion drop in there. And like I said, this matchup is balanced around Protoss having more workers, right? He's at 59 probes to 48 SCVs, even though the Terran player went for a 3CC, got third SAM command center maybe a little bit later, but like Protoss should just always have more economy than Terran. And if you want to win as Terran, you need to deal damage to that economy. So the hope here must be that he keeps some of these guys still split off in case of the Hellions. and he's able to make a big move, but charge is literally about to finish. Well, he's just going to back up. I think Heromarine isn't, is he feeling okay today? This has been a bit of a rough series for him thus far. His army is still good, though. And I don't mean to say that he's playing bad. It's just that nothing has worked out for him. I feel like I'm watching Nathanias stream. Whenever I play this game, I'm like, oh, did I try to do anything? No, the opponent's always there. My opponent always has everything in the best possible position. Why? It's because I'm bad at the game. It's because I've got terrible luck. I cashed in all my luck when I got a job talking about video games full time, right? Let's be honest. The universe has done all the favors it needs to for me. But Big Gabe, I guess it is kind of hard for him to sneak up on somebody when he's the size of, well, I don't think I'm legally allowed to say it. I'd feel pretty happy if I were Showtime, though. He got pretty much completely unattacked. This has been one of the most passive games I've seen in a while. Very, very passive. But Gabe just doesn't feel like he can attack. He doesn't feel like there's a window for him to try and push. So he's just building up a massive army. He's going to keep trying to take bases. And I assume make a move into something like, I don't know. Just go into ghosts. Maybe liberators. Just try to force ghost liberators scenario. Rather than trying to win in the mid game. Because that's the whole point of what I was saying earlier. Now the economy is actually a lot more close. Now they're both on this 3 base, right? But it took a while for Gabe to catch up. So it kind of behooves you to want to be a little bit more defensive, I guess. Yeah, and he might try to kill him here as he tries to go for the 4th base. Now, we do have the EMP upgrade coming in, but there's only 3 ghosts in production. He's got 4 High Templar in the Prism. Okay, well, if he doesn't push, that actually does make it a little bit easier for Heromarine. Because the ghosts are not ready yet. The ghosts are not ready yet. Naruto said he's sick. Naruto said Big Gabe is sick. Well, he better be feeling better in time for the War Chest Team League. After his DreamHack plays and whatnot, I've been looking at him for the possibly looking at him for my team. It would be pretty awesome to have somebody that big on my team, you know what I mean? The only reason I would draft him is so I could put a billboard shirt on him, because then everybody on the entire planet could see my advertisement. I'm kind of a genius. Yeah, can I just say it again? Very passive game. We've somehow managed to avoid almost anything actually happening. I'm sorry to hear that, Slemsen. Okay, well, I hope Heromarine feels better. I was gonna say, I know he's a lot better than this. And I didn't want to say it in an insulting way. I just assumed that he must not be feeling well today, because this game's been pretty slow. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe Showtime's like he's feeling a little bit on edge or something too, because even he isn't trying to force anything here. Like both of them seem they're being like way more patient than usual. For 2 young men fighting to the death in a game of StarCraft, it usually ends up being a little bit faster, but that's not the end of the world. I do hope that he feels better over time. The Zealots clean up a couple of the Marines, tries to get the drop out towards that 3rd base. There's a photon cannon to defend. Cannons are so good. Oh, I'm so jealous of photon cannons. Here's the Zealots. I love the placement of that bunker. The Zealots can't be attack moved because they'll go to the worst possible spot. And he's like, all right, I'm going to kill a couple of SCVs, and that's going to be basically it. He scans outward. He doesn't want to get jumped by this army. You do not want to get jumped by this army. I'm surprised he didn't go for prism speed with this. Hi, Katie. All right, well, Heromarine's maxed out. He's got his big army. He's got lots of EMPs. He's got lots of tanks. Oh, this is going to be scary. Wow, watching stimmed bio move through this speed zone is pretty funny. Let's see what he can do. Do you think it makes sense to mix in mines once you get your armory up? I mean, it really just depends on what people want to do. It's not a fun answer, but like, you know, it's just... That's like saying, why does somebody go Cyclones instead of Thors, right? It's like, well, usually they just prefer that. The number of tanks with this type of army being so clumped up naturally is actually pretty sweet for Heromarine. But the problem is he needs to actually get somewhere that he can siege. Like, the last thing he wants to do is just fight out in the open. But it looks like he's actually thinking about an even longer game. Now, DT Blink is being researched, but he's getting a nuke and another Ghost Academy. So Heromarine is thinking about having quite a different type of game. Kind of slow so far. Yeah, Jacker, that's exactly what I was thinking. Well, hey, if the player's not feeling well and he wants to play a little more passively, I'm not going to tell him that he can't play that way, because that would just be an asshole thing to do. I still highly enjoy getting to watch such high-level play, regardless. So the DTs did try to come in. They didn't do nothing. There were units at home. Good defense from Gabe. And the medevac with 2 Hellions that's been sitting here the entire game is going to get hit by the F2 key. Rip and Alfredo Fettuccini. Gonna try and drop a nuke on this base though. Showtime can see this ghost, however, and he's gonna just what? The DT is just gonna kill it. Yeah, there you go. So unfortunately, not able to get that nuke off at the last possible moment. The Colossi are trying to push towards this planetary. This orbital command is very vulnerable. That's actually a massive pick off. It soaked a lot of damage, yes, but that's a big chunk of the economy. Not that he's low on money or anything, but he's been, Gabe has been struggling to find a footing in this map. The problem with this army is that there's just so many different components to it. I like this ghost, though. I like this one. There's definitely an opportunity for him to get a big shebang nuke with that one. Why don't the players have skins on? Because I think they need to be turned on in the menu for the WCS game heart, and just nobody did that. I would love to see that ghost drop a nuke. He's waiting, though. He's waiting. There it is. He's going to call the nuke down on this base. Let's go to Showtime's vision. He's looking for it, right? Or wait. Does he see it? Does he know? He's looking around for it. Oh, he already moved the probes. Wow, he noticed that really fast. All right, does he find this one as fast? He's looking for the ghost. He's kind of getting into a little engagement on the northeast side here. He moved. Okay, so he just moved the army back here, and that was able to get rid of the ghost, calling down that nuke. Gets a storm on the top side. Oof. I'd love to see him try to call down a nuke from this position. Oh. It's EMP opportunity, I suppose. Siege the tanks. Disruptors are gonna launch. Oof. Yeah, it's not a 2-minute delay. It's actually time dilation caused by Big Gabe's mass. The theory of relativity states that because I'm closer to Big Gabe, time is actually moving faster for me, so it only appears to be moving slower for you guys. The delay is quite literally just the light moving so fast that it actually takes a longer amount of time to be processed, because it's trying to leave such a high mass of gravity. Oh my god, the storms on this mineral line. A little bit brutal there. Gets the EMP, but then they turn into Archons, so all that energy and shields is going to come right on back into this fist of death that we know the Archon to be. And it seems like he's kind of found a soft spot. I would love to see him turn a planetary here. Oh, he's bringing DTs. He's going to use... Oh, okay, no aggressive. I was like, is he gonna yeet the DTs onto the ghosts or something? But Showtime he's a rich boy. He's building up quite a scary army. I love that he's got Dark Templar mixed in here. Oh my god, he's adding a lot of DTs. He's gonna really use that Blink DT en masse. And that is not gonna be one of the situations that you want to be in as a Terran player. He's waiting though. You don't want to give up the DTs for nothing. You definitely don't want to give up the DTs for nothing. At the same time, he's finally gotten around the army, and he's going to push this west side base. The Templar here does not have enough energy for Storm. There's a handful of photon cannons, but the shield batteries aren't ready yet, so there's a feedback. a couple of feedbacks, but he's actually got plenty of medevac energy, so that's not a problem. However, the DT's blink onto the army over here. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. He's cutting him up. He's slicing him up. Slicing and dicing for his life. And this disruptor does not get to shoot, but he is losing command center after command center. And here's the problem when you try to do stuff like this. He's got Templar waiting at every base. He has Templar at all of his bases. The DTs can blink. Losing the orbitals means losing the ability to deal with the Dark Templar. These Ravens and Vikings have not been able to contribute what they need to. The Raven does get a Dorito cannon onto the center mass of the enemy forces, but it's pretty much just siege tanks that are having a hard time with the number of units just going straight onto them. Those blinks are absolutely devastating. The Colossi are still standing strong, but the Stalkers did kind of suicide all of themselves in, so that's not bad. Ghost looks like he got a nuke onto that Nexus. He's dropping a nuke onto the Northeast Nexus. He's got all of these units trying to fight up here, but we got some Dark Templar actually choked up a little bit. They're going to be blinky behind the rest of the army. Now here is the nuke landing. Goodbye to a few of the cannons and the shield batteries, and those DTs are able to help force this army back up into the air to try and run away. Now at the same time, Showtime is going to start building carriers with his disruptors. Really? Oh, he's already got +1 air, huh? Oh, he's already got +1 air. Oh, that poor Ghost. He gets laser beamed. Bzz, bzz. I don't know what to say here anymore. Like, it's been such a slow game, but these fights have not been going Gabriel's way. And here's the rest of the army coming over. A lot of zealots, not much to do about them. The disruptors get rid of the tanks. He still has so many charge lots that are going to move right onto the bio. They're properly backed up by the Colossus. And the Archon splash is just going to be a little bit too much for Gabe to handle. And I hate to say it, but I think when he sees that there's 3 carriers, when he sees all the carriers that are going to be coming out onto the map, he's going to find himself a little bit scared. Although, honestly, when you're building Marines, you're usually not worried about carriers. But it can be hard to have enough Marines if you get surprised by the carriers. So as long as he's building Marauders and siege tanks, like, the carriers are going to be able to, you know, trade well against some stuff. Oh, look at that. He knows. He knows. Showtime knows about this one. I like that he snipes it and then decides to run away because the observers were always going to get him. Good grab. Good grab. He's building Thors. Oh, okay. He saw the carriers, so he knows, but is it too late? Liberators are going to try and get some counter harass. The planetary fortress is being repaired, but he can't really save it because he's being zoned away by the disruptors. So that base is gone, and this liberator is going to siege here. This is actually maybe the one spot he's been able to find, which isn't bad at all. But he just lost 24 SCVs. GG's called out. Showtime goes up 2-1. It's been a pretty tough series for Big Gabe. Struggling, to say the least. He's having a very hard time. And I definitely know that he's got a lot more. I know he's got a lot more in him. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for my boy. And we're loading in now to the next game. I really enjoyed our very, very heavily rooted in physics discussions throughout this series. Shout out to Twitch chat for giving me some engaging. I feel like my brain is less smooth than it was at the start of this match. And I only have the people watching to thank. In the top right, leading the series 2-1, he is Showtime. And his opponent in the Southwest, the red Terran player, he has Mouse Sports' Heromarine. He's trying to hold on to a dear life. Out here, fighting his German counterpart. Of course, it's never an easy time, but we know that both of these players are so good. Showtime, I think he can kind of tell that Heromarine's not feeling well. This probe scout to me just kind of says, oh yeah, I'm going to check for proxies a little bit too. Showtime. Showtime is playing pretty sharply today. It still felt like the gameplay was a bit hesitant from him though. Like when he won game 2, I was like, all right. When Heromarine won game 1, I was like, all right. But then the whole game 3 was just seemed like, you know, it seemed like an unusual game from both of them, if that makes sense. Like neither was really sure what to do. And I do think that a lot of it boils down to the medevac drop that just like never really materialized because it was just stuck outside the base for 20 minutes. And you got to be careful about that stuff. Got to be real careful. As this probe is now going to make its way back. So he saw everything he needed to see. Barracks, command center. Most likely going to be a Reaper or a Marine. He did still SCV scout, which I respect a lot. I think SCV scouting is still a pretty big, an important thing that you can do in a game of StarCraft. But maybe he needs to get another 2-base push going. We have the probe. Gets picked off on the way back. That's nice. It's hard to get anything with that Reaper, especially when the probe makes it away. Like in that situation, I never think that I'm going to get to kill it. Like I never think I'm going to actually get to kill it.
Hi Nate, I love you.
I love you too, DLT Core. Thanks for the 5 months. Welcome back. You did miss a physics discussion. We were getting into a nice, I think the conversation subjects rotated around a few things. We attempted to qualify what is a scientist. I believe there was a discussion about whether or not you had to use metals from the bottom of the ocean to make properly accurate for low readings of radiation, Geiger counters and stuff. Things got really deep. Things got really deep. All I had to do was say silver is more valuable than gold. That was all I had to say. And then we ignited the greatest discussion about why these things were valuable and the practical uses of precious metals. Gold. It's much better used for things other than wearing on your finger. Do you prefer original balding trucker with orange shades Jim Raynor from Brood War or the newer ripped out of his mind Western cowboy? Jim Raynor was more cool in Brood War because he seemed like a real person. Jim Raynor in StarCraft 2 just kind of seemed like a guy that couldn't get over the fact that his girlfriend broke up with him and then became, you know, a genocidal maniac slaughtering billions. And he was still simping after her afterwards. I just can't. I love StarCraft 2 as far as like a competitive game goes, and the missions are really fun, but the story's just beyond bad. It's worse than like a Disney story, you know, because they had the option to be, you know, not just PG, but instead they were like, yeah, let's do like fake PG-13. We'll put in just enough to make you think that this game has adult themes, but in reality it doesn't. Okay. Unless we're talking about Frozen 2. That gets into some real heavy Okay. The Hallucinated Phoenix sees the third CC, though. So Heromarine has opted to play this game a little bit more on the greedy side, and I can't blame him. I actually really like it. I really, really like this one. Largely due to the way that it kind of asks the Protoss to be the aggressor. And he can still push. He can still move out. He can still do stuff. Like, he's still going to try to make this push work. But at the very least, if he's able to get any level of damage done from it, he should be pretty happy. Now, we do have the Mind Drop hitting at the same time. Oh, that blink was How is he micromanaging everything at once? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. The Liberator's going to try to hit the north side. This Observer does see it. Showtime knows. Showtime knows. An Observer is on the way. He's trying to micro the Stalkers, though. Did he see the Liberator? Because guess what? Daddy's here. And he's going to siege up on your Nexus. So these Stalkers, yes, they're doing a decent job of bullying this back. But I am wondering how many probes are going to go down in the main base. The Liberator has gotten up to 4. And the rest of the Stalkers are just going to jump on this army and start to mop it up. This makes me scared, though, because we got a tank in the middle of the map. He's going to recall the Stalkers to deal with the Liberator. Actually, a couple of these Stalkers are pretty hurt, so you can't even blink into that. You would lose a lot. I was going to say, he actually could one-shot 2 of the Stalkers if he had, you know, chosen to stand and deliver, as it were. Kerrigan wasn't even Raynor's girlfriend in Brood War. Yeah, exactly. How sexist is that assumed relationship? There's actually a lot wrong with that. Well, you see, darling, I just killed millions of people so that I could turn you into someone I could have children with. And then she's like, what the gave you that impression that we were like that? Well, the writers are men. Oh, okay, I see. It all makes sense. This is a little bit adventurous from Showtime, though. 6 Stalkers and an Immortal. Yeah, siege tanks and SCVs aren't that bad. Even Naked Marines aren't that bad. I love saying Naked Marines when I cast DreamHack, by the way, because for some reason people just don't understand. But when I say Naked Marines, I kind of think about the fact that they just don't have any upgrades at all. And they are completely different units from regular Marines. I don't know. Some people have a really hard time grasping that concept. But I think of it as, I think of it like Naked Snake from Metal Gear Solid 3. Where he's called Naked Snake because it's on-site procurement. Which means that he goes in with no gear. And guess what? By the end of it, he isn't Naked Snake anymore. Oh, the Widow Mines. He's going to have to... Oh, no. Okay, I actually thought the Zealots were going to bring those mines onto all the SCVs. Dude, Showtime is starting to bully now a little bit. And the army is not bad for Gabe. But he's getting hit on multiple fronts. Unable to really find a foothold since winning game number 1. Now, he's still ahead on supply, but he's taking... Actually, you know what? Honestly, 67 SCVs is too many. I take it back. 67 SCVs is too many. He probably would have been better off just letting a couple more SCVs die, honestly. He's at 70. He's still building more. That is unusual. Did he get the armory? No. Okay, so he can't start his +2 upgrades. Oof. Yeah, he's just now building it. Yeah, he must not have realized it during that whole big fight. This is a tough game. He's still got hurt bio, too. He's stimming. His medevacs have no energy. Moving out into a real engagement is going to be very hard. He needs to just go here, build a command center. But then these Zealots would deny it because Showtime is a good StarCraft player out on the map. Now, how is he going to deal with Storm, Stalkers, Immortals? The Stalkers are easy if everything else dies, though. Storm is actually not ready yet, but Heromarine does not know that. And unfortunately, every Terran player has the fear of God put into them by any High Templars. Even if they build them right after this Templar Archives is ready. But those Widow Mines even don't get their full value with how late that armory was because they were revealed after shooting and consequentially died. And now we do have a decent-ish position on this Nexus, but about half the shields are taken off before the army gets here. And he can't really stay and fight because now Storm is ready. Now he does have that Size Storm upgrade. So Heromarine taking a head-to-head engagement without EMP for the Storm. It's just I just don't know. I don't see it. I don't see where he's gonna find that foothold that we were talking about. Oh, those storms! Okay, now you guys know why I was saying I'm worried. At least SC2's story wasn't as bad for you as Diablo 3. I prefer to take the stance where I just say, I can't wait for a sequel to Diablo 2. I can't wait for a sequel to Diablo 2. It would be really nice. It would be really nice to have a sequel to Diablo 2. I don't acknowledge Diablo 3. Cleans up that one zealot, which reveals his entire Doom Drop plan, unfortunately. This has just been such a rough series. You know, he basically got the first one. He got that first map win, and then it got so hard after. I do like the Widow Mines, though. Trailing out the mines, like, there aren't observers everywhere to cover those. Most of the observers were, like, either watching for drops or doing something else. He actually kind of gets some free shots there. Okay. Okay, Gabe. Guten Gaben. Gets a couple hits there. I like it. I like it. He's going to send back over that way, try to get some hits. And he's got, like, his multi-army thing going. I'd burrow the mines. EMP. Burrow the mines. Throw the EMPs. And he's got a couple of them burrowed behind. EMP's the Immortals. I do like that. Of course, there's a photon cannon, and there are observers here, too. But he's going to go for this base. Gets the overcharged pylon. However, 4 High Templar with full energy show up, and they say, piss off, mate. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Oh. That was a rough series for Heromarine. This is... I don't know that there's a whole lot else. This just doesn't look like he's getting anything done at all versus Showtime. Showtime is just playing this. He looks like Demauer now, right? He's the wall that can't be scaled. But then again, if I've learned anything from Bethesda and their greed with their old ass engine, it's that you can, in fact, jump up any flat, perfectly smooth wall as long as you do it while jumping up and backwards onto the said wall. So, all we need is for Heromarine to just jump up backwards towards Showtime. And he probably won't know what the hell's going on. The Stalkers come forward for the bio. I like that. Oh, that storm. You ever notice how the Psystorm animation is bigger than the actual area of effect? Yeah, I hate Protoss too. Keepo. Imagine needing to pay for an expansion for your game not to suck. Keck W. I remember Diablo 2 being pretty good before Lord of Destruction dropped. Oh, man, he's trying to throw stuff around everywhere, but he's having a really difficult time actually getting where he wants to be. And now, even though Heromarines maxed out, like, Showtime has taken these fights so very well that I really am scared about the idea of Showtime, like, forcing a big fight. Like, Heromarine just has not been winning many of them. He's going to try to start the sensor tower. Instantly loses the money for that. Couple EMPs, but none of them hit the Templar. He does get a few of those. This army actually can't really engage that well for Showtime here. He's gonna pull back. He's gonna get some disruptors. Okay, actually, that was a good hold by Heromarine, especially with the planetary fortress. He's like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with the planetary fortress. Fighting the main Terran army while it's next to a planetary is a fantastic way to throw a game. He's moving some of the Widow Mines around. The Viking count's actually really good. He got some pretty solid EMPs onto the army at the same time. But I think the problem is there are still some storms in the back. There's still a lot here in this army for Heromarine, or excuse me, for Showtime. And a ton of his supply, we talk about how close it is. The majority of that supply is in medevacs. Protoss units just kind of work. He doesn't really need those support units. That's why they lose head-to-head most of the time. But the handful of power units here that have this gateway unit buffer for them now are all but impossible to stop in this scenario. He's got 2-2 versus 3-3. Those upgrades for Showtime are fantastic. If he gets a good EMP or two, okay, that could be it. That could be it. There's still one storm, though. he's having a hard time. He's having a really hard time here. More Templar come up, gets good EMPs. The storms come out, but it's not too many of them. The Disruptor Shot's going to get a Marauder and a Ghost. Now, this is maybe his best opportunity to try and take a fight, if I'm being honest. There's no AoE until... Oh, my God. 4 Disruptors are about to show up here. And a big Zealot DT. Blink jump onto the Planetary. Kills the 4th, which means Heromarine is now broke as a joke. The Disruptors are coming for him. He denies one of them. But there's another Templar. There is the storm on top of the ramp as the Marines get ripped to shreds by the storm. GG. Showtime wins 3-1.